A few seasons ago, the Cleveland Browns were building something. Fans believed, the stadium roared, and the franchise had momentum. Fast forward to today, seats are empty, tickets are practically being given away, and the same fans are now pleading for someone to take charge. The story shifted from potential to paralysis, with Kevin Stefanski's leadership at the center of the fallout. And through the noise, one name has emerged again and again: Shedeur Sanders.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
The fans want him. The energy shifts when he's mentioned. Yet the silence from the top grows louder. Every team hits rough patches, but what separates the survivors is action. Right now, the Browns need a reason to believe, something real, something new. That's why this isn't just about who starts at quarterback. It's about showing the fans that someone's listening, that change is possible, and that this story isn't finished yet. Because if the Browns don't act, the next chapter might be one of irrelevance. The Cleveland Browns are not just having a bad stretch, they're unraveling. And fans? They're not whispering about it anymore. They're walking away. Publicly. Loudly. And the franchise is acting like they can't hear it. When NFL tickets are going for $6 and $9, that's not a minor attendance dip. That's a 5-alarm fire. That's a fan base pulling the plug. And no matter how you spin it, that number doesn't lie. It says one thing loud and clear. People no longer believe this team is worth their time, their energy, or even their loose change. And let's be clear, it's not just about a few bad games. It's not just the scoreboard. This is deeper. This is systemic. This is about a franchise that feels directionless and a leadership group that refuses to acknowledge how bad it's gotten. The fans are frustrated. And rightfully so. They've put in years, decades, of loyalty. They've shown up through failed rebuilds, overhyped draft picks, and coaching changes that come and go like seasons. But the current moment feels different. This isn't just another rough patch. This is a collapse in trust. And at the heart of it? Kevin Stefanski and the ongoing quarterback saga. Fans have watched week after week as the team continues to underperform, and the coaching staff continues to offer the same copy-paste responses. We're still evaluating. We don't have an update. Over and over. That type of non-answer might work when things are trending upward, but right now it just feels like deflection. And it's not fooling anyone. Then there's the elephant in the room, or more accurately, the quarterback not in the room. Shedeur Sanders. The name keeps coming up. Not just in fan forums or social media threads, but in every conversation about what this team needs to finally wake up. Not because he's guaranteed to be the next big thing. Not because he's the savior. But because right now he represents change. He represents hope. And that's something this team has lost. Fans are desperate for a spark. For someone, anyone, to shake things up. And yet, Stefanski won't even address it. He won't confirm, deny, speculate, or engage. He just keeps repeating the same tired lines as if that's going to stop the bleeding. Spoiler, it won't. This isn't just about a quarterback decision. It's about leadership failing to respond to a crisis. It's about ignoring the one thing every successful organization knows: your fans are your foundation. If you lose them, everything else crumbles. Right now, the disconnect between the team and the fans is staggering. People aren't just disappointed. They're disillusioned. They feel unheard, unseen, and completely devalued. They've stopped showing up not because they've stopped caring, but because the team stopped showing they care back. The Browns' leadership had every opportunity to engage the fan base, to acknowledge the struggle, to offer transparency or at the very least, honesty. But instead they chose silence. They chose to sit on their hands while the fans walked out the door. And that's why $6 tickets are a symptom, not the disease. The real issue is the leadership vacuum. The indecisiveness. The refusal to make bold moves, or even have a public conversation about why those moves aren't being made. Fans have made it clear. They're not asking for perfection. They're asking for effort. They're asking for a team that reflects their passion, their energy, their investment. Right now they're not getting that. They're getting corporate silence. They're getting vague pressers and uninspired football. The quarterback question has become the flashpoint for something much bigger. Shedeur Sanders is the name fans are rallying around because he represents the one thing this team is refusing to offer: a new direction. And yet, despite mounting frustration, Stefanski won't budge. The front office won't speak. And the fans? They're done waiting. And here's the harsh truth: leadership hesitation doesn't come across as thoughtful. It comes across as fear. And fear in leadership? It's contagious. It trickles down through the locker room, through the coaching staff, and right into the stands. When the people in charge are afraid to make decisions, everything starts to rot. Fans see that. They feel it. And they're responding in the only way they can, by not showing up. This is not a Cleveland fanbase issue. This is a Cleveland leadership issue. Because when your most loyal supporters start turning away, it's not their fault. It's yours. It's on the people running the team who refuse to listen, who refuse to act. You can't coach your way out of a trust collapse with strategy alone. You need transparency. You need authenticity. You need to acknowledge that the situation is broken and do something. Right now, the Browns are doing nothing. They're letting this moment pass them by while pretending the stadium isn't half empty and the tickets aren't selling for less than a value meal. They're losing more than games. They're losing credibility. And that's not something you rebuild with a few wins. It takes time. It takes effort. And it takes bold, clear choices, like giving Sanders a real shot or at least explaining why he's not part of the plan. The silence is hurting more than the scoreboard. It's bleeding into the culture, into the fan base, into the brand. And if the Browns continue to ignore the calls for change, they're going to find themselves not just at the bottom of the standings, but at the bottom of fan interest. This isn't just a football team. It's a community, a symbol of pride. But right now that symbol feels abandoned. And the fans are treating it accordingly. If this team wants to turn things around, it starts at the top. With leadership that understands that silence is no longer an option. That change, real, visible, bold change, is the only path forward. Start with communication. Own the moment. Be honest. Address Sanders. Address the future. Show fans that they're not shouting into a void. Because if the Browns don't, then the fans are going to keep walking. And at some point they won't come back. If you're watching this and you felt every bit of that frustration, let it be known. Drop a comment and tell us, what would you do if you were running this team? Should Shedeur Sanders start? Is Stefanski still the guy? Or has leadership already missed the moment? Hit that like button if you've ever paid more for a drink at the stadium than a ticket. Share this if you're tired of being told, we're evaluating, while the team drifts into irrelevance. And subscribe if you want more deep dives into the drama unraveling the NFL one team at a time, because if the Browns won't speak up, we will. Let's not sugarcoat this. What's happening with the Cleveland Browns right now is a slow-motion collapse. Not just of a season. Not just of a roster. But of trust. Of connection. Of relevance. You don't need to be an NFL analyst to understand what $6 tickets mean. They mean people have checked out. They mean the product on the field is no longer enough to justify the drive, the parking, the tailgating, or even the click on the ticketing app. When you can attend a professional football game for less than the cost of a stadium pretzel, that's not a deal, it's a warning siren. It's the sound of a fan base giving up. And the Browns are doing nothing to stop the bleeding. This is a leadership problem. Plain and simple. And the refusal to start, or even acknowledge, Shedeur Sanders is the biggest, clearest symbol of that failure. Not because he's guaranteed to be a star. Not because fans think he's the next Mahomes. But because his name represents the one thing this team has completely lost: momentum. Everything about the Browns right now feels stuck. Stuck in neutral. Stuck in stale routines. Stuck in the kind of rigid thinking that loses not just games, but entire communities. And fans? They're sick of it. They've watched this team ignore clear signs of discontent. They've watched the leadership double down on the same tired strategies. They've listened to Kevin Stefanski give the same robotic sound bites for weeks. We're evaluating, we don't have an update, we'll look at the tape. Meanwhile, the stadium is getting quieter. The energy is draining. And the only thing moving quickly is the downward spiral of fan interest. Let's talk about Stefanski for a moment. It's not just that his offense is stalling. It's not just the bad reads, the questionable play calling, or the lack of adaptation. It's the lack of responsiveness. A head coach isn't just supposed to lead a team, he's supposed to read the room. And right now the room is on fire and he's pretending not to smell the smoke. There's no urgency. No sense that the franchise understands the damage being done. And as the frustration builds outside the building, Stefanski's refusal to speak honestly, or act decisively, is making him the face of this disaster. Let's be real, fans aren't asking for magic. They're asking for a pulse. A sign that leadership sees what they see. That someone is willing to do something to shake this team awake. And the fact that Shedeur Sanders hasn't even been publicly discussed as an option says everything you need to know about the Browns' current mindset. They're afraid of change. Afraid of risk. Afraid of admitting that the path they've committed to is clearly not working. And that fear? It's contagious. It's felt in the locker room. It's felt in the broadcast booth. It's felt in every empty seat inside that stadium. And it's destroying the emotional investment that Browns fans have poured into this franchise for years. Because that's what fans give you, emotion. And when they stop feeling anything, that's when you've lost them. Right now, Cleveland fans feel ignored, dismissed, like their voices don't matter, like their passion is just background noise. But it's not. It's the foundation. And when that foundation starts to crack, when fans start choosing brunch over football, when the resale market turns into a clearance aisle, when the stadium experience feels more like a punishment than a celebration, something is deeply broken. This isn't about just one decision. It's about a pattern of inaction, a pattern of silence, a pattern of playing it safe while everything falls apart. There's a reason Shedeur Sanders has become the focal point of the conversation. It's not just because of his talent, it's because his presence would mean something. It would be a sign that leadership is finally willing to listen, to adapt, to stop pretending the answers are buried somewhere deep in film review and actually make a move. But right now, the Browns won't even do that. And so, the fans continue to drift. Not with outrage. Not with protest. With quiet, resigned apathy. And that's the most dangerous response of all. Because anger can be fixed. Booing means people still care. But silence? Silence means they've stopped hoping. And you can't build a winning culture on silence. What this franchise needs is clarity, boldness, communication. Start with an honest press conference. Address the fans directly. Say the hard things. We've let you down. We hear your frustration. We know we need to do better. And then actually do something. Start Sanders. Or at least explain the plan around him. Be transparent about the quarterback strategy. Tell people what you're trying to build, even if it's a risk. Especially if it's a risk. Because fans will always support a team that tries. What they won't support is a team that refuses to move. And right now, every day that goes by without change just confirms what fans already fear, that nothing's going to change at all. The Shedeur Sanders conversation is bigger than football. It's about identity. It's about hope. It's about whether this franchise is willing to meet the moment or let it pass by while pretending that everything is going according to plan. Spoiler alert, it's not. The scoreboard says it. The ticket prices say it. The fans, or lack thereof, say it. This is the time for action. For honesty. For leadership. Because if they wait much longer, it won't matter what decisions they make. The fans will already be gone. The Cleveland Browns are at a crossroads. Not in theory. Not symbolically. This is a real, tangible, fork-in-the-road moment. And the decision they make, or don't make, in the coming weeks could determine not just the outcome of their season, but the next chapter of their identity as a franchise. This isn't about hype. This isn't media spin. This is reality. Your fans are gone. Your stadium is empty. Your tickets are selling for the price of a bottled water. You are losing your core, and the people responsible for that collapse are acting like it's business as usual. Let's go back to the basics. The Browns have one of the most die-hard, loyal, emotionally invested fan bases in the entire league. Cleveland has been through quarterback after quarterback, coach after coach, scandal after scandal, and yet the fans stayed. They still packed the stadium. They still wore the jersey. They still hoped. But now they're not just disappointed. They're disengaged. And that's a very different thing. You don't get $6 NFL tickets because fans are impatient. You get $6 tickets because fans feel nothing. No connection. No trust. No reason to believe that the people running the team know what they're doing or care what the fans think. And that's where Shedeur Sanders comes in. Let's be clear, Shedeur isn't the savior. No one is saying he's going to come in and single-handedly turn this team into a playoff contender. But he represents possibility. He represents change. He represents the one thing this team is missing across the board: momentum. And yet, week after week, Kevin Stefanski stands behind a podium and delivers the same tired lines. We're working through it. We don't have an update. We believe in our guys. Meanwhile, your most passionate supporters are literally begging for something different. For a shift. For a sign that you're listening. And still, nothing. That refusal to engage isn't just frustrating. It's offensive. It tells the fans loud and clear that their voices don't matter. That their loyalty is being taken for granted. That the people in charge believe they can keep making the same mistakes, over and over, without consequence. But the consequences are here. You can see them in the resale market. You can hear them in the silence of the stands. You can feel them in the energy, or lack thereof, on game day. You can read them in every comment thread calling for Stefanski to go. The disconnect is no longer growing. It's settled in. It's real. And that's what makes this situation so dangerous. Because once fans decide they're done, it's not just a revenue hit. It's a reputation hit. And in the NFL, reputation is everything. Reputation is what brings in free agents. It's what fills the stadium in tough seasons. It's what fuels pride in the community. And when you lose that, you're not just rebuilding a team. You're rebuilding trust. That's where the Browns are right now. Not at the beginning of a new chapter, but at the end of a fanbase's patience. And the worst part? The fix is staring them in the face. Start Shedeur Sanders. Or at the very least, talk about it. Acknowledge what the fans are saying. Show them that you're not asleep at the wheel. That you understand how bad this has gotten. That you're willing to try something other than what's clearly not working. Because sticking with the same broken system, week after week, while offering no explanation or vision for the future, that's not leadership. That's negligence. And it's hurting more than the standings. This kind of inertia chips away at everything: locker room morale, team culture, public support. It sends a message to everyone inside and outside the organization: we're too scared to pivot. And when fear drives the franchise, the fallout is unavoidable. Right now, the Browns are trying to ride out the storm without even acknowledging there is a storm. And that strategy never works. You can't outweight disappointment. You can't out-silence criticism. Eventually it catches up with you. And in this case it already has. The Browns aren't trending toward irrelevance. They're already there. And every game that passes without a course correction only cements that further. Let's talk about what it would mean to start Sanders. Not just for the football side, but for the fan base. It would show fans that the organization is listening. That they're willing to adapt. That they're not afraid of bold decisions. That they haven't given up. That they're still trying to build something. Because right now, it doesn't feel like they're building anything. Feels like they're holding on. Waiting for things to magically improve while the foundation crumbles underneath them. This is where communication matters. Where transparency becomes the difference between fans walking away or staying invested. Even if the decision is to not start Sanders, say why. Be clear. Be honest. Don't hide behind coach speak. Don't pretend this is fine. It's not fine. Every indicator is flashing red. Every signal says that change is not optional, it's necessary. And leadership is still sitting there, arms crossed, waiting for fans to come back while doing nothing to earn them back. This is how teams lose their soul. It's not just about numbers. It's not about winning or losing in the short term. It's about identity, culture, the emotional bond between a team and its city. Cleveland doesn't need a perfect team. It doesn't need a title tomorrow. It needs effort. It needs truth. It needs leadership that reflects the values of the fans in the stands: resilience, boldness, and a willingness to fight. So fight. Don't settle into this mess. Don't pretend like things are on track when everything is telling you they're not. Be better. Do better. Try something new. Start Shedeur Sanders. Or give fans a real explanation for why you won't. But stop acting like everything's fine while the stadium echoes with silence and the team's relevance fades with each passing week. Because when your fans start giving up, really giving up, it's not just a season you've lost. It's your future. This is what it looks like when a team loses control of its own story. The Cleveland Browns, once held together by one of the most passionate, loyal fan bases in all of sports, are now unraveling. Not because of a blowout, not because of a scandal, but because of silence. Deafening, frustrating, arrogant silence. You know things are bad when even the loyalists, the diehards who lived through the 0-16 season, who still wear their jerseys every Sunday, who spent years saying next year's the one, start walking away. And not in a fury, not in a blaze of fan rage, but with quiet detachment. Like something sacred was broken and they're just done. That's what $6 tickets represent. Not a market trend. Not a weak opponent. Not a cold weather game. They represent a broken connection between a franchise and its people. And the Browns? They're acting like they don't even notice. Or worse, they don't care. Leadership, from the front office to Stefanski, has watched this unfold week after week and chosen to do absolutely nothing. No strong public statement. No meaningful engagement. No hard decisions. Just empty pressers and recycled lines. And fans see right through it. The refusal to start, or even address, Shedeur Sanders is just the clearest symbol of the broader issue. It's not about whether Sanders is the next superstar. It's about what starting him would mean. It would be a gesture of urgency, of awareness, of trying. But instead, the Browns have chosen the safe, quiet, conservative route. The route that's bleeding their fan base dry. How do you watch this level of disengagement and not do something? How do you see ticket prices collapse, attendance vanish, and morale disappear and still refuse to make a move? The truth? They're scared. Scared to take a risk. Scared to change course. Scared to admit they were wrong. But fear isn't strategy. And silence isn't leadership. The Browns need to stop pretending this will blow over. It won't. This isn't noise. This is the fallout. This is what happens when a franchise ignores the people who built it. And if they keep standing still, it won't just be Shedeur Sanders they lose, it'll be the last pieces of a fanbase that once believed in them no matter what. So let us know where you stand. Should Shedeur get his shot? Is this all beyond repair? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Like this if you're tired of the silence. Share it if you know someone who's still holding out hope. And subscribe if you're here for the stories the league tries to keep quiet, because the Browns may not have found their voice, but you still have yours. The Cleveland Browns aren't just losing games, they're losing the room. The trust is gone. The connection is gone. And if we're being honest, the energy that once defined this team, that once made Sunday in Cleveland feel like something sacred, is gone too. $6 tickets aren't a marketing strategy. They're a resignation letter from the fans. A clear message that says, we've done our part. Now it's your turn. And the silence from leadership? It's deafening. It's not just disappointing, it's infuriating. The fans have never asked for miracles. They've never demanded championships overnight. What they've always wanted and deserved is honesty. Some form of engagement. A sign that the people at the top are as invested in turning this around as the people in the stands have been for decades. But what they're getting instead is a coach who repeats the same vague phrases. A quarterback situation that's been mismanaged into oblivion. A front office that's pretending this isn't a slow motion. And that brings us right back to Shedeur Sanders. Is he the golden ticket? No one knows. But at this point, that's not even what matters. What matters is what he represents. Change. Boldness. A response to a crisis that everyone can see unfolding except, apparently, the people in charge. There's no downside to starting Sanders if the goal is to breathe life back into this team. Fans want a reason to care. Players need a jolt. The media is already begging for something new to talk about that isn't falling attendance and one-word post-game quotes. And yet, nothing. That kind of paralysis from leadership doesn't just stall progress. It drives people away. It creates an emotional distance that's hard to recover from. And that's what we're seeing now. The distance. The apathy. The empty rows in the stadium that used to be filled with fans in orange and brown screaming through heartbreak and holding on to hope. Now that hope feels dead. And the people with the power to revive it are nowhere to be found. The Browns aren't facing a football problem. They're facing a cultural problem. A leadership problem. A trust problem. And those are harder to fix than a broken offensive line. Because you can't coach your way out of mistrust. You can't scheme around fan disillusionment. You have to show up. You have to talk. You have to act. Start Sanders or explain why. Change the game plan or explain what's working. Speak with clarity. Show some accountability. Anything less is just more of what got you here. The damage isn't irreversible, yet. But every week this team stays silent, every game that ends with another half-hearted press conference, and every ticket that sells for less than a large coffee brings the Browns one step closer to irrelevance. And if that happens, it's not on the fans. It's on leadership. Because the fans stayed through worse. But what they can't stay for is indifference. Let us know where you stand. Should Shedeur Sanders be under center? Is it time for a new voice in the locker room? What would you do to bring the fans back? Like this if you're tired of leadership pretending everything's fine. Drop a comment with your take. And censored, unfiltered. Share this with someone who's been riding this roller coaster with you. And subscribe if you're sticking around for the truth because the Browns may be quiet, but the fans never are.